Number two is my job. Uh, and what I do is I rehabilitate people who've been injured. Uh, and so I'm trying to slowly move away from that and into the other things. I'm writing a book about my father. My father runs one of the largest orphanages in Mexico. He had over 7,800 orphans in the past 20 years go through his orphanage. And so uh, I'm writing his story, and I'm trying to talk about the principles of how he did things.
Join me, Jeremy Swick, on Into the Unknown, a podcast that delves into the personal journeys, stories, and experiences of individuals across diverse professions. As a historian by trade, I firmly believe that our personal histories shape our present and offer valuable insights into our paths ahead. With that being said, let's get into it. On this episode of Into the Unknown, joined with a very special guest, William Hansen. How you doing, William?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today, sir?
I am doing amazing. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today.
Well, thank you.
So, I always like to kick off the show and talk about the importance of networking. How are we connected?
So we met each other on the Facebook group, and I saw your ad for that, and I said, you know what, that just looks cool. Into the unknown, talking about different things that happened to people, how they relied on things that they learned, how they overcame. And I thought that's just a really cool idea and a cool concept. What a way to help other people out, and what a way to just share stories.
It really is, and I appreciate your kind words. And it's so interesting to me because I think so many people in this world don't feel like their story is special and unique. And don't get me wrong, we all have our place in this world, and of course, you have to do hard things, and I'm sure we'll get into that conversation. But I think not enough people share their story because they don't feel like it's important enough.
I agree. I agree. I think it's important that people need to know that average everyday guys. I was just a sergeant in the military. I was in the Marine Corps and I was in the Army, and the things that I was able to do and overcome, you know, people in the civilian world are going to overcome similar types of tragedies, similar types of tough things, and it's important to know that hey, other people have done it.
I could not agree more, and I thank you for your service. But I want to jump into your origin story. That comic book issue number one. Who's William?
So, like I mentioned, I served uh, 24 years in the military. I did 12 years in the Marine Corps, in which I was in Marine Security Forces at the Norwegian Embassy. I was an instructor at Camp Pendleton, and then I ended up going to Desert Storm and in Somalia, fighting in both of those areas. Then I went to the reserves and was a school teacher. And then in '96, when President Clinton said, hey, do you guys want to get out? We're reducing the military. I was like, hey, I've got two kids. I'm a school teacher. I'm a coach. Seems like a great time to get out. I mean, I'd already served my country. I'd already been to war. Why not? And so after I was out, and then 9/11 hit. And like a lot of red-blooded Americans, I immediately said, you know what? Hey, I can't believe that they're attacking us in our country. And so I went to my nearest recruiter, said, hey, Sergeant Hansen, reporting back to duty. And the guy took one look at me and he goes, yeah, Sergeant Hansen, thank you so much for all that you've done. However, we're looking for 17, 18, 19-year olds, not 30-year-olds. Um, Here's a sticker. Thank you for your service. Have a good day, Big Sarge. And as I'm walking out the door, the guy from the National Guard unit, he put his arm around me. He says, hey, have you ever thought about joining the dark side? And so I went from United States Marine Corps into the National Guard. And I did, I don't know if you remember this after 9/11, I did airport security, where we'd walk around with weapons and try to give everybody a sense of comfort that we had people covering our backs. Then I did two tours in Iraq and a tour in Egypt. And in my last tour in Iraq, I was involved in a accident where there was an explosion, and we had been on the road for about 72 hours. And I was the truck commander, and my driver, when he saw the explosion, it was like about 10 meters from our vehicle. He did what anyone else would do, and he swung the wheel, and we crashed into a brick wall going about 60 miles an hour. And I put my face into the bulletproof glass, snapped my head back, hit the steel paneling behind my head, and was really knocked woozy for the next 72 hours. Um, Everybody said that I pretty much was on automatic pilot for the next couple of days. I talked, I went to the bathroom, I slept, I ate, did everything along that line, but ended up not really being with it until I woke up from going to sleep, and I woke up with the worst headache I've ever had in my entire life and a lot of pain. Uh, so because I had never really been checked out, I went and saw someone, and they said, "Hey, you looks like you just strained your neck a little bit. So we're going to give you some pain pills. And by the way, we have a mission going on in 6 hours. So you got to be ready." And so I end up doing 25 more missions like that. Uh, when I finally got back to the States and was totally checked out, they found that I had fractures in my neck, fractures in my spine. I had a traumatic brain injury and I had a brain bleed. And I had herniated discs and I had torn a muscle in my lower back. And so I went from being pretty strong and everything to just not really being able to move a lot. And one of the things that happened was everybody just kept giving me more and more pain pills. And they said, "Hey, this is all we can do for you right now. You've already gone a lot. It's already been too long since the injuries for us to do much more." And that was it. So my hero story, or day one of my comic book, you might say, it was me being injured. I was stuck on my couch. I probably watched every single episode of Battlestar Galactica, Star Wars, you name it. I was watching everything, and I was sitting on my couch and becoming more and more angry, becoming not the type of person I wanted to be. And one night, I yelled at my daughter, in which I never yell at my kids, and something ticked me off. And instead of her screaming at me, instead of her crying and running away, which could have easily happened, she walked up and she put her hand on my face and said, "Dad, what's the matter? You're not you. You're not being my daddy anymore." And so I broke my heart when that happened. And I did say, I'm going to do everything I can to become daddy to her again. So I reached out the next day. I went on Google, started calling different groups. "Hey, I need help. I need help. I need help." And the group contacted me that next day. And the guy who was there, he's basically said, "Listen, you're a physical guy. You were a wrestler. You were a football player. You did all these different physical things. You were a Marine. You need to be doing physical things to help you in your rehab." And so I started working out. I started doing CrossFit. I started riding bikes, all those different things. And I ended up doing something called the Tough Mudder. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. And I was out of shape. I was pretty much only about a month into working out. And I had a mental journey, which was I said, okay, either it's going to win or I'm going to win, but I'm not going to quit. And what normally takes people 2.5, 3 hours to finish took me 6 hours to finish but I won the mental battle and I finished the Tough Mudder. And from there, it started me on the journey, which of health, of fitness, and help and pulling other veterans, picking them up and helping them so that they could uh, have that same type of journey where they become functional and they become family and they're helping the people in their family, helping people in their community. And that's what I've been doing pretty much ever since.
Well, first of all, thank you for your service. I mean, that's an incredible story. I want to rewind a little bit. What gave you that desire to serve to begin with? Because I know you'd mentioned you went back into, back into the conflict, which a lot of people I know did, post 9/11, just become, just because of everything that happened, during that time period. But what brought your interest into serving to begin with?
Well, I have a family legacy. So my relatives, and you gotta go great grandparents. When they came over here from the old country, I had people coming from Norway and I had people coming from Scotland and Ireland. And from every single generation has had people serving in the military, usually in the Marine Corps. In fact, I have a niece that's in Kuwait right now. So, I mean, every single generation has had someone serving in the military and has had people pass away, has had people injured in a lot of the conflicts. I'm praying that nothing happens to my niece as we're talking right now. But that was part of our family legacy. I remember the first time that took ownership of being a American, and it was 1980. Uh, my father and I were watching this ragtag group of college hockey players beat the Russians in the Olympics. And I remember that day, heck, we were watching on a 12-inch black and white screen, TV screen. My kids have iPads that are bigger than that right now. And so I've always had this feeling and this love of this country. And I've grown up where we serve and we protect the country because this is something that we believe in.
Now take me through that tough murder experience, because as you mentioned, usually it's a 2 to 3 hour endeavor. It going six for you. What made you not give up? What made Because you could have easily said, okay, maybe I'm just back into my rehab. We can tackle this next time. What made you continue to go for it?
Well, a couple of things. Number one, when I was going through Marine Corps boot camp and when I was going through a lot of things in the Marine Corps, um, I had never quit on a march. I had never quit on a 20 mile, a 40 mile, a 50 mile ruck. I never quit on any of those things ever in my entire life. I had been exhausted in practices. I had been exhausted in things, but I never quit. And I have the crazy mindset that if I'm going to do something and I say I'm going to do something, I will do it. And so I'm going up and I'm going up over these walls and I'm climbing up and they have this one where you run all the way up. And it took me 5 times of running up to get all the way up there. And on the last time, I actually had to have some help. And some guy at the top grabbed my arm and helped pull me up. And I love that because that's just the atmosphere that you have to have sometimes. If you're not willing, if you're willing not to quit, people will come and help you along. And I got encouraged every single time. I would start getting tired. I'd stop and bend over, catch my breath, spit out some crap that was in my lungs, whatever it was, and I'd have people running by me. Hey, don't quit! Pat me on the back. It was a great experience in that manner. That people were there and people were always being encouraging. And I try to do that in every single time I work out with people in any of my CrossFit or strongman type of competitions. I try to encourage other people because people were encouraging to me when I needed it.
William, it really is one of those things that encouragement, and I think there's something to be said. It'd be one thing if you were sitting there staring at the wall and not trying to get up, but as people see you do it multiple times, I think there is that desire and interest in helping because you're already working to helping yourself, and so through that,
Right.
I think it makes it a lot easier for me to extend my hand and help you. And I think so many people want us to succeed when they see that we're trying. If that makes sense.
Oh, that makes perfect sense because honestly, that's the end all in a lot of things. Is right now we have a lot of divide going. I'm not being political. I'm not being anything along this line, but I see there's a lot of divide in people right now. And the things that is everyone's worried about all this stuff that is way out there instead of worrying about the people that are around them, their family, their community, the people that they go to work with, the people that they go to church with, the people that they see in the grocery store time and time again, or the people that go to their kids' schools. That's our community. And we need to be good stewards of people in our community before we ever worry about all the big things that are out there. Because that's what we're called to do is to take care of our family. I don't care about your political choices. My first question to someone is, are you a good dad? Are you a good husband? Are you taking care of your family? If you're doing all those sort of things, I don't care if you like taxes. I don't care if you don't like taxes. I don't care if you like guns. I don't care if you don't like guns. Anything along that matter, because I can have a communication with you because we're both trying to be good fathers. We're both trying to be good husbands. We're both trying to be good partners. We're both trying to be good people in our community. And I think we're losing way too much of that. Sorry, I didn't mean to get on a rant. I
No,
apologize.
no, no, William. I appreciate your sincereness because I think, for example, one of the reasons I have a platform like this is for people to share their story and share their experiences. Because I think a lot of times we realize we're far less different than we kind of think we are, than especially than we're told. If that makes sense.
Oh, I agree 100%. I work at a commercial gym, my 9 to 5 job, and right now, and you name it, there's every single uh, political group that I work with, and every single whether someone's extremely wealthy or someone's barely getting by, and I don't really care about any of that sort of stuff. What I care about is how how are they taking care of people in their circle, and we're forgetting that. And I try to remind people all the time, hey, it's about what's right here in front of us. I can't deal with things in Washington. I don't care if you like or dislike the president. I don't care whichever president. From I've been around since Carter was president. I went to join the military underneath Reagan. So I mean, I've seen them all, and they all have good points and they all have bad points. That's people are going to disagree no matter what. But the question is, how are you doing? The things that we shouldn't disagree on are things about taking care of each other in our communities. Whenever we have like those floods that we had, was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and we had all the floods, and last year when we had the floods for the camps, and people went out and tried to take care of all those kids and find those kids. That's the important things. Are we willing to go help each other out in times of crisis?
I couldn't agree more, William. On everyone's journey, you make a decision not really knowing the outcome. Can you give me a time where you made a decision and just went for it?
Sure. There's a couple, but I'm gonna give you one. A little bit of background beforehand. So my first wife passed away from cancer, and there was a 9 year process which we helped her. We worked with her, and then she ended up because of just because of the cancer, she got better, then she got worse, and after that, I thought I was just going to be a bachelor for the rest of my life. And God brought someone into my life who helped me where my missing spots were. And I got a job offer to go from California to Texas. And I knew at that time that that was going to be the right move, but I didn't want to do it without her. So it pretty much was, hey, I've got this job offer, and she goes, well, I will come with you if I'm Mrs. Hansen. I'm not going to come there as just your girlfriend. And so I said, well, I was going to ask you to marry me anyways, but hey. So literally within the next week, I had talked to her father. Now she was in her 40s, yeah, and I had known him for years, but it was still. I talked to her father, said, "Hey, I want to marry your daughter," and within 3 weeks, we got married. It was right at the beginning of COVID, so we had a Zoom wedding, which was which is great. We had over 500 people watching us get married on Zoom. You know, for one thing, in our pocketbook, it was really good because we didn't have to feed them all, and they sent their gifts to our house that we had in Texas, so we didn't have to carry all that stuff. So that was pretty good. But I mean, the decision was I found the right person for my life. I found the person that God has right for me, and it was a bold, quick decision. We had only been dating for 7 months, and I knew it was the right decision. And we moved here, and life has been great. God even has a sense of humor. So I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I have six daughters, ages
Like,
35 through 17. So I was surrounded by estrogen. And God said, you know what? That's not necessarily a great thing for you. So one of the things that with my injuries is they told me because my neck and my head was so screwed up, and the wiring, and is that they said you're not going to be able to have any more kids. And so, okay, no problem. I'm going to have six daughters. I mean, I don't need any more kids. And God said, you know what? Forget that. And now I have a 5-year-old baby boy. And so, and I'm going to turn 59 this year. I'm going to have a 5-year-old. And so that's kind of a fun thing that's trying to keep me a little bit younger.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, title of the podcast, Into the Unknown. What are you working on now? What do you have going on in your life?
So I have a couple of things. Do you remember the old like Bozo show or the Grand Prize game and all that sort of stuff, where
Yep.
they'd have some guy with who would have plates and he'd be spinning the plates and is always trying to go around and keep the plates spinning. Well, that's what I feel like I'm doing right now. So I've got number one being a dad to a 5-year-old boy at 59. About ready to turn 59. So that's kind of one plate. Number two is my job. Uh, and what I do is I rehabilitate people who've been injured. Uh, and so I'm trying to slowly move away from that and into the other things. I'm writing a book about my father. My father runs one of the largest orphanages in Mexico. He had over 7,800 orphans in the past 20 years go through his orphanage. And so uh, I'm writing his story and I'm trying to talk about the principles of how he did things. And then I'm working on an outreach group for veterans, and it's just started up. What we've done a couple of trial runs where we have weekends with veterans, and we uh, give them an opportunity to say, "Okay, you are beyond. You've come home. Now, what do you do? How do we take those military um, skills and put them into the civilian world? How do we do with anger management? How do we deal with using fitness as fuel and those sort of things? So this is one thing that we just started doing, and then for the past 2 years, uh, I've taken this year off. But the past 2 years, I took third in the nation for amateur masters strongmen. So things like doing 700-pound deadlifts, doing heavy bench presses, shoulder presses, things along that line. I got injured in my last one, and being my age, it's been taking a little bit of time to come back up. But I had someone who came up close to me, and he says that, hey, if you want to do one more run at 60, I'll help you. And so working on the details, whether or not I'm going to do that. that would be something kind of fun. But if I do it this time, I'm going to have to actually. Last time I did it, I was working 50 hours a week plus having a 3-year-old boy and things along that line. And you have to do about 20 hours a week and work it out. And at 59, 60, I'd have to. I don't think I could keep that schedule. And so I'd have to get some sponsors and things along that line. But if possible, that if it's going to work out, it'll work out. God has a funny way of letting things work out that way. But if it doesn't, hey, I last time I was involved, I was at the Arnold. I mean, not many guys, 59, who had broken neck, fractured spine, and the injuries that I had got a chance to compete at the Arnold's.
Wow.
And I feel really good about that. And so I would like to go again and shock everybody at 60 and win it, but you never know.
Well, William, last thing before I let you go, where can people learn more about your
Yes,
story?
sir.
Where can they find you online?
Okay. Uh, my Instagram is pretty easy. Trainer Big Sarge or Big Sarge Strong are my Instagram. I have those two pages. I'm on LinkedIn as William Hansen, Facebook, William Hansen. Um, and if I don't have Twitter yet, but I mean, I'm probably going to have to with all this stuff going on. Uh, Send me a message. I'm more than glad to talk to people. If you ever get if you ever get bored, look up on YouTube. Uh, Wounded the Battle Back Home. There was a video on Netflix about 10 different veterans, and I was one of them. And so Wounded Warrior Project did that. And I would love to be able to talk to people and share my story and just simply help out.
Well, William, thank you
Or you could
again.
just, or you can email me. You can email me, william.anson@gmail. That's another
Perfect.
good one.
I love it. I love it. Well, William, I want to say thank you again for taking the time to talk with me today. I really appreciated you sharing your story.
Oh, hey, thank you for giving me the chance. I appreciate it, sir.
Another fun episode of Into the Unknown. I truly appreciate you taking the time to listen. And if it provides you any value or entertainment, I would love if you shared it with others, liked, subscribed, and really just help the podcast grow. Again, tell a friend, tell a foe, just anyone who might enjoy hearing some stories of people's own journeys and what got them to where they are today. Till next time.